Hey everyone's Maya here, and this is Talky Hands, where I do the talking and my hands do a little bit of a funky performance, if you want to call it that. So, this week I'm going to dive real quick into empathy. You know, sympathy, empathy, but mainly empathy. Specifically, why I think it is so important to have as a person in these kind of times, and really just in general throughout your life. Okay, so let me begin with a little personal story. I've always been a very empathetic person. I find it very easy to understand what people are feeling, and in some cases to feel what they are feeling or what they might be feeling. Put simply, I like to think in other people's shoes a lot, and so sometimes that makes me a very emotional person, which can be a good thing depending on the day. But I've come to realize I think empathy is a really special quality that if you can hone it throughout your life, then it'll really benefit you when it comes to interacting with other people and maybe understanding other people's perspectives a little better. So, I don't know if I've mentioned before, but this past summer, I was working on a big translation project, and by the way, I'm going to link in the description my post regarding that specific translation project, because guess what? I finished it a few weeks back, and yeah, so it was really big, and so I'm just going to break it to you. My translation project was it involved translating from Japanese to English the Wikipedia article of Kenjiro Tsuda, who is a really famous actor, voice actor, narrator, etc. in Japan. And the reason I decided to embark on that translation project is because the English version of the article was very starkly vague compared to the Japanese. I mean, the Japanese article, you had to scroll down for several minutes till you could get to the bottom. And the English article had nothing. It just had a very short list of some of what us English speakers or people in English countries, it just had a little bit of what us English speakers know about his roles, like say in popular anime like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Attack on Titan, or what was it, like K-Project, For the record, I've only watched Yu-Gi-Oh! So I'm still a novice in that department, but I wanted to enhance my fluency in Japanese, among other things, so I decided to translate that article, and you can check out the link below. It's specifically about that article I translated and my motivation behind it, but my point is here, something came along while I was translating that article that resonated with me very much. So it was about a weekend. I think it was so this past July 2020, one night while I was translating, I had to Google some things, check the names and stuff, the names and readings of certain names for the translation, okay? And I came across an article that had been posted earlier that week, and it said that Tsuda had revealed in an Instagram post that he was actually married and he had 2 kids. Now, to those of you who may not know, the thing is, up until now, and yes, I had to do the research because I was translating his article and I just happen to be a big fan of him in general, he kept his marital status very private. He kept his private life very private, which to me makes sense because, who would want to not be able to do the things they do if every single person on the planet knew about their personal life? I mean, there are things we like to keep private, famous or not. And anyway, after that weekend, I went to his Instagram, which I am following, and I read the post and I translated that a little just so I could understand as I was reading. So I was trying to be an active reader. And basically, he was saying that he had not made a public announcement when he he and his wife first got married, because he didn't want to jeopardize their safety, because they were getting a lot of basically death threats from people when they first got married, and he did not want to jeopardize his family. So he didn't make any public announcements until a tabloid had fished the answer out of him and published it in a newspaper. So he was basically apologizing to a lot of his colleagues, his co-workers, fellow actors. I don't know what the terminology is in that industry, but you get the idea. And for a while, I couldn't explain why, but the weekend after I came across that article that told about his Instagram post and the tell-all, whatever, I actually felt really sad that weekend. I don't know why. I mean, I didn't know why at first. Everything was fine with me and my life and in general, but I just felt really sad. And then I sat down that night and asked myself, why am I feeling this way? And I realized I feel very sad for Kenjiro Tsuda, because you imagine all the pain he's been going through this week. I thought, he's been trying to keep his private life private, which is understandable, and now some stupid tabloid fished the answer out of him, and now he has to basically reveal everything kind of awkwardly, haphazardly, and I felt really bad for the guy. I mean, I know feeling bad for somebody isn't going to help their situation, but for me, at least, it helped reinforce to me the power of empathy. And that's why I am saying right now, by sharing this story with you, if you have empathy, I believe you can connect with people more easily. You can understand where they're coming from. You can understand why they say the things they say, or why they do the things they do. So like another example, in your family, let's say you have that family member who seems very high tense, very stressed out about stuff. Instead of getting mad at them, just sit down. Try to put yourself in their shoes, How would you feel if you were in their shoes? Like me, for instance. My mom and dad are constantly working really hard to provide for me and, and our family. And I empathize with that a lot, because I think, not only do they have to juggle work, they have to juggle being a parent, being a spouse, being adults that have to deal with this coronavirus and all the other things it's impacted them in some way. And I just, and it makes you appreciate them more as people. So I think that's really the goal here. When you empathize more with people, you can really start to calm yourself, basically sit down inside, as I heard from one Lazy Genius podcast before. You sort of slow down and calm down about things, and you have that quiet space where you're like, okay, this is how I need to do things. This is how things are going to be, that sort of thing. And I think it's really important to understand that even when things seem like they're not going your way all the time, it's very easy to slip through the cracks and think that the whole world is against you, or everyone is out to get you, or something like that. And I think once you just slow down and become empathetic with people, you can become a kinder, compassionate person in response. Now, some of you watch this, maybe you're one of those people who finds that kind of wisdom cliche. And if you do, that's okay, because I used to feel the same myself. I used to think, well, that's ridiculous, that's silly. But really, once you begin to empathize with people, I think you can become more mindful of a person. So I just wanted to share that with you for this episode. And by the way, I'm going to start doing it like, my goal is one video every 2 weeks, every other week. So that actually gives me some time to kind of plan what I want to talk about and think about how I want to say things. And, maybe you're like, okay, Maia, why would you have to plan out anything if you're just talking about it? But the thing is, it helps me balance my schedule now, especially how things are right now. So there's that. There's my 2 cents advice on empathy, and I hope that really gets you thinking a little. And until then, Talky Hands out.